guys, Cassie here. Welcome back to my channel. Just a quick disclaimer for this video. I am doing a critical reading of the book P.S. I Love You by Jenny Han. And if this is like your favorite book in the world and you just can't stand to see anybody say anything negative about it, then maybe this isn't the video series for you. I will be doing a critical reading of this book, critiquing the things I don't like and pointing out some of the things that I do like. But I want to remind you all that this is not for the sake of just crapping all over someone's work and making fun of it and just having fun laughing at someone for being a bad writer. This is primarily for educational reasons. I am an author and I have watched videos like this myself, and I feel that I learn so much from hearing what people don't like about a book and even like the little details. So I might be getting a little bit critical here and picking on the tiny things, but that's because I think that that helps us all to become better writers and see what not to do, what sounds a little bit off, and how to do it better. So now that that disclaimer is out of the way, let's get back to the reading. So Lara Jean and her family are having dinner and they're talking about like summer internships and stuff, and she says something about like, what does she say? I've been thinking about doing something more official at Bellevue. Maybe I could be the activities director's intern or assistant. I don't remember her ever talking about doing things at Bellevue. Like, maybe that was in the first book and I just blocked it out, but she's talking about it like as if she already like volunteers there or something, and I just have no idea what she's talking about at all. I don't remember that at all. Okay, now she's talking to Peter, and he talked to Jen, and of course he doesn't believe Lara Jean, and he says that she didn't admit to it, and when Lara Jean says, well, she can say whatever she wants, but I know it was her, he says, you can't get all of that from a look. And she says, it's not just a look, I know her, she used to be my best friend, I know how she thinks. And he says, I know her better than you, and I'm telling you, I don't think it was her, trust me. I mean, dude, this comes back to what I was saying about having boundaries with, like, ex-girlfriends and stuff. Like, this is weird. It's weird that this isn't just a girl. It's not just him taking a girl's side over Lara Jean's. It's him taking his ex-girlfriend's side over her. And that is weird. And it's totally reasonable for Lara Jean to be upset. I don't know how she's gonna react because I haven't gotten that far, but like, if it were me, I would be really, really annoyed about this. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's not, and it's because it's not just an isolated incident. There have been several times that Peter has taken Jen's side over Lara Jean's and put her feelings above Lara Jean's feelings, and I would just not be okay with that if I was someone's girlfriend. Like, I think that's pretty reasonable. And now Lara Jean's again saying basically that she shouldn't be upset about Peter taking Jen's side and that maybe he's right, and you know, she said, I mean, I guess it could be anything. Peter's right. Maybe I knew her well once, but not anymore. Peter's the one who knows her best now. And besides, isn't this the way one loses boyfriends, by acting paranoid and jealous and insecure? I'm fairly certain this is not a good look on me. Honey, that is the way one loses bad boyfriends, that you shouldn't be too hurt about losing in the first place because you could probably find someone better. Because this is not acting jealous and paranoid and insecure. You are 100% right. This girl is still in love with this guy and is undermining you and putting up videos of you to like frame you, to like embarrass you. You know, like, I'm 100% convinced that Jen is the one who did the video, and she didn't deny it. Well, she did, I guess, but she also kind of then said something that made it sound like it totally was her. And I mean, even if it wasn't her who put up the video, she still clearly does not like Lara Jean, doesn't want her and Peter to be together, clearly still has feelings for Peter, and it's not at all unreasonable for Lara Jean to be jealous and insecure and paranoid about how close Peter still is with his ex-girlfriend. It's not unreasonable at all. And it's annoying to see her continually saying, like, maybe I'm just being silly and this isn't a good look on me, and if I keep, being so paranoid and jealous, then he's gonna break up with me. I mean, basically what you're saying is, if I keep demanding a certain level of boundaries that is appropriate, then he's not going to want to be with me anymore. And to that, I would say, that's fine. Go find someone better who is mature enough to understand that boundaries should be a thing when you're still friends with your ex and you start dating someone else. It's not to say that you can't be friends with them anymore. I've been friends with exes and dated other people and still been friends with my exes, and I don't just shut them out of my life, but I also don't have the kind of relationship that Peter has with Jen. And also it's different because my exes weren't continually undermining my current husband and like trying and still in love with me and trying to get me back, in which case I myself, and I would be Peter in this situation, if I had an ex who was doing that and I like love my husband, I myself, it wouldn't even have to be my husband's job to say, hey, I need you to put up some boundaries with this person. I would put them up myself, because I would say, that's not okay, you're being disrespectful to my husband, and I'm not gonna be friends, like, we can't continue to be friends if you're going to, like, act like this. And that would be the responsible and mature thing to do, and Peter's not doing that even when asked. Alright, so chapter 9 was really short. It was basically just talking about how their picture, or a still shot from the video of them in the hot tub, has been turned into a meme. That's it. That's all that happened in that chapter. I feel like something that irks me about this story, like both of these books so far, is that there's like nothing, there's not a lot going on in Lara Jean's life except Peter and school, which I guess is kind of like most typical high school students' lives. But the thing is, like, I don't know, a lot of the young adult stories I'm used to reading are just more, there's more than just that. Like for instance, I read Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. Like, she wasn't just dealing with, like, a boy and school, she was dealing with, like, the death of her father and this car accident she was in with her father, I think, that left her, like, unable to want to drive, and, like, and there was, like, more going on in her life than just this boy, and I think that's something that I personally prefer in a story. I really, really love romance, and I like stories that have a very heavy romantic subplot, and when I say heavy, I mean, like, not necessarily, like, I mean, I like deep romance also, but I mean, like, I want the subplot to be heavily involved in the story. I want the romance to be a very large part of the story, but I don't want it to be the entire story. And I feel like with this book and the previous one, it is just the entire story. There's nothing else really interesting about this character or her life. It's just a little boring to me. It's interesting enough that I'm not super bored reading this book or anything, but I probably wouldn't be reading it if I wasn't doing this video, because there are just more interesting stories out there that have more going on. Good morning! Well, it's morning for me. Who knows what time it is for you? I mean, you probably know, but I don't. Anyway, we're gonna get back into this book because I'm on chapter 10 and I'm supposed to finish chapter 14 by hopefully the end of today. So I thought I would get some of that done this morning before work. So here we go. Okay, so they're at the school, like, assembly thing, and the class president is using the projector for her, like, presentation, and, sorry, my brain stopped working there for a second. And then all of a sudden, the next slide comes up, and it's the hot tub video, and they have Me So Horny playing on the speakers and stuff. And it's very dramatic, and she's embarrassed, and Peter runs up to the stage and, like, tells everyone that they didn't have sex and that he's gonna kick some ass, basically. And I'm still a little bit, like, skeptical of whether or not a video like this would be this big of a deal. Like a boyfriend and girlfriend kissing in a hot tub. I don't see it as being that big of a deal. They've talked about this Instagram page, and how, like, they're always posting stuff about people from the school, and I don't remember if they said that anything like this has happened before, but I feel like if this is happening from this event that was, like, so, like, they're just kissing in a hot tub, like, nothing is really happening, then I feel like, is this school just constantly blowing up with, like, insane drama all the time? I don't know. I mean, it's a book. It's fictional. I get it. But it just seems, like, too dramatic to me. Like, I don't feel like teenage kids would be that interested even in a video like this, because it seems so tame compared to, like, so many things in the world and what people are actually doing, like, teenage kids are actually doing these days. Kissing in a hot tub is really not that big of a deal, so I don't know. I don't know if this is realistic, but we'll go with it. So, update on Chris. I still don't like her. She's just not a very good friend. Like, she's moderately supportive in this situation, but, like, she's talking to Lara Jean after the assembly, and she's, like, talking about how funny it is and awesome that Peter, like, went up on stage and that he's gonna kick someone's ass, and that it was probably Jen who posted the video, and then she's like, are you sure you're okay? And Lara Jean's like, everybody saw us. And she just says, yeah, that sucked. And then she just goes right back to saying what she was saying before, and it's like, she just so obviously doesn't give a crap about Lara Jean's feelings at all in this moment. I just don't get that. Lara Jean seems like a nice girl. She's not, like, someone that people are picking on all the time. She's not, like, a loser or whatever. She's just a nice girl. So I feel like she could have more and better friends than just Chris. And then at one point in her little rant, Chris's rant, she said, I'm glad Peter set the record straight, though. Like, I hate to give him credit, but that was an act of chivalry. I just, like, the line, I hate to give him credit, is just funny to me. So it's like, nobody likes Peter. Like, Margot is constantly like, I don't know about him, like, he really should support you better than he does. And even Chris, who's, like, the worst, still is saying she hates to give Peter credit because I guess she doesn't really like him all that much. And I know, like, sometimes people don't like, you know, the person you're dating or whatever, and it's because they don't know them as well as you do, and sometimes they're wrong, okay? But if everybody in your life, I mean, it's hard with Lara Jean as an example because everybody in her life is, like, two people, so, but these two people presumably are important to her, and their opinions are important to her, and if they both, like, don't really think your boyfriend's that great, and like, have a hard time even wanting to give him any credit for anything nice he does, then maybe you should think about that a little bit, and, like, why don't they see him the way you see them? Is it because they're just wrong and they don't know him as well as you do? Or is it because you're blinded by your feelings and the fact that he's cute? Okay, so yet again, there's another example of Lara Jean kind of saying that, like, she doesn't really like who Peter is. Like, I mean, she's just constantly, like, Margot is constantly saying things and Chris is constantly saying things about how Peter's not that great. And Lara Jean herself, in her own thoughts, says things that are, like, problematic in a relationship. Like, Peter's talking about how these girls were waiting outside of the principal's office for him and, like, saying how romantic he was for standing up for Lara Jean, and she, like, gives him a look and he's like, it's okay, they know I'm taken and stuff, and he says something funny and she laughs and she says, I laugh, I can't help it. Peter loves attention and I hate to be another girl who gives it to him, but he makes it really hard sometimes. Like, why do you hate to be another girl who gives it to him? That's a weird thing to say about your boyfriend. You shouldn't, like, is that not a weird way to feel about someone you're presumably, like, in love with or dating? Like, I wouldn't feel like I hate to give my husband more attention because, oh, he already has so much. I hate to be that girl. Like, no, I want to be that girl. Because he's mine. And, like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just, she says things like this a lot in her, like, internal dialogue in her mind about Peter, like, kind of negative things that she doesn't like about him, and how, like, she almost is saying, like, that she doesn't like who she is for being with him. Like, she doesn't want to be another girl giving him attention. That's just a weird thing to say about the person you're dating, and it doesn't really bode well for a promising future. So there's this line where she says that, like, Peter takes her home and she says that she's supposed to go to this lacrosse party with him, but she, like, says she doesn't want to go, and she said, I say it's because I have to prepare for my meeting with Jeanette tomorrow, but we both know it's more than that. He could call me on it, remind me that we promised to always tell the truth to each other, but he doesn't. He knows me well enough to know that I just need to burrow in my little hobbit hole for a while, and when I'm ready, I'll come out again and be all right. Now, here's the thing. Maybe because I feel like this is a thing that, like, again, kind of a telly thing. Like, the author is telling us that the reason Peter isn't asking her what she's really feeling is because he knows her too well and knows that she just needs some space for a while. But the thing is, I'm not convinced that Peter's that deep and that he's that kind of a person. I would think that he's not asking her how she really feels because he doesn't really care that much. And so this is, like, I guess sort of an example of, like, authors telling you something and telling you how you're supposed to think, but they haven't necessarily done a good job of showing that that's who that person is, that they're the kind of person who would feel that way. Like, because that doesn't ring true to me. I think Peter probably isn't asking her because he just doesn't really want to talk about it anymore. Hello, Cassie from the editing bay here. I just wanted to explain really quick, instead of just saying that that was bad, I want to explain how it could have been better. So as it is, this part was very telly, and I didn't believe it. It was Lara Jean telling me, Peter's not asking me about my feelings because he understands me so well. And personally, I don't really know if that's true. I don't believe Lara Jean. I don't trust her opinion of Peter in this moment. And it was just, like, telling me what to think. It could have been a little better if, instead of her saying that, Peter had said something to the effect of, that's okay that you don't want to go to the party. I know you just need a little space. You know, call me if you want to talk, or whatever. Something to show us that he does understand her feelings and that he's not pushing her for more information on how she feels because he knows that she doesn't want to talk about it and that she just needs space. That would have been a better way to show us that that's what Peter was doing, instead of telling us that that's what Peter was doing in a way that I personally don't even necessarily believe. Okay, so this chapter ends with Peter coming by Lara Jean's house. He knocks on her window and she lets him in, and it's nighttime, and they like snuggle, and then they start spooning, and he says spooning's the freaking best, and she says, I wish he didn't say it because it makes me think of how many times he must have held Genevieve just like this. And then she kind of gets annoyed with him and makes him leave, and it's just like, listen, it could just be that Lara Jean is like an overly jealous person, and maybe that's partly her problem, but I think it's also partly just a sign that this relationship isn't that great if you're constantly thinking about his ex and like his feelings for her. Like, it's just frustrating to read. It's just the same thing over and over and over. She gets annoyed and she gets jealous of Jen, and Peter says something kind of shallow and dumb, but yet he's still, for some reason, just so freaking appealing and just the best boyfriend in the world, and she can't get enough of him. But it's like, why? Like, this chapter right here, he breaks into her house. That's not the way to say that. He knocks on her window at nighttime and she lets him in. It could be such a romantic moment. This could be the time where they have like some really deep, important, valuable conversation, or maybe he comes over because he's like, I know you're upset about this and I want to like talk to you about your feelings, or you know, it could be something, or he could admit his own feelings in some way. There could have been some depth here. Like, the main thing I don't like about this relationship is how incredibly shallow it is. And it's not interesting to read, in my opinion, when relationships are that shallow. It's just bland and boring, and it's like, alright, two kids who like each other because they're both hot, and that's all they have. And it's like, it would be a fine, like, read, I guess, if it wasn't hyped up so much. Like, I hear so many people talk about this book and about Peter specifically, like he is just the best, and like he and Lara Jean are like their favorite book couple, and it's insane. I don't understand it at all. They have nothing. They have their looks and their feelings and their hormones, and that's it. If there was ever going to be a time in this book for them to explore some actual depth, this would have been a really good time for it. I mean, snuggling up in the dark while you're trying to be quiet because your dad's home and, you know, you're not supposed to have boys in your room. Like, what a great time for a nice, romantic, whispering confessions kind of conversation. And instead it was like, you know, how was the party? Boring without you, liar. What did you bake tonight? How did you know I baked? You smell like sugar and butter. Chai sugar teas with eggnog icing. Can I take some with me? And she nods. And then that's like their entire conversation. And the rest is just kissing. It's just shallow is what it is. Like, both of these characters are not very deep. And I think Lara Jean probably could be deeper if she was with someone else who wasn't Peter. But Peter's definitely not a deep person. And that's just not my favorite kind of relationship to read about in a book. And I don't understand why anyone loves that so much. I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna do one more chapter because it's pretty short and I think I have time. So let's do it. I'm on chapter 11 now. If you're following along at home, you're probably not, but whatever. So this whole scene with Lara Jean talking to Jeanette at Bellevue is really weird. I just, like, I feel like until earlier in this book when she said something about, like, doing more work at Bellevue, I was like, what? Like, what is she talking about? I don't remember, and to be fair, maybe it is just me not remembering. Maybe she totally volunteered at Bellevue in the first book and I just don't remember, but I really don't think she did, and this whole scene is just so weird. It's like she's talking to the woman, I guess, who runs, like, the events and stuff for the old people, and Lara Jean has, like, all these ideas, and they're talking about how to make things better, and they're talking about these events they have, like, I could run cocktail hour, and then, well, we're thinking about cutting cocktail hour, and Lara Jean's like, cut it? Like, she's so upset about it. It's like, what freaking is cocktail hour? We've never heard of this before. It bugs me, too, because one problem with this story is that I feel like Lara Jean has absolutely nothing in her life besides Peter and going to school. So why has this not been a bigger subplot then? If Lara Jean's gonna work at Bellevue and, like, hang out with the old people, why not have that be, like, a much larger part of the book and have her, like, maybe, like, there's some old lady who she, like, gets really close to and gets a lot of wisdom from, and, you know, I don't know, like, there's so much to be done there, and now I'm feeling like, am I just forgetting in the first book? Please let me know in the comments if you've read the first book in this series. Am I just forgetting something? Because I don't remember her ever going to Bellevue to, like, help out with the old people at all. But if she did, I don't think it was a very big subplot, or I would probably remember it. So I just feel like what a wasted opportunity to add, like, a little bit more depth to this character and have her be something other than Peter's girlfriend. And the rest of that chapter is just Chris continuing to be the absolute worst. She is so annoying. She's rude, she's abrasive, she's extremely arrogant. She and Lara Jean have nothing in common. They're always, like, every time they talk, it's like, Chris wants me to do this thing, but that's not my kind of thing. I don't want to do that. And then Chris kind of, like, picks on her for not doing it, basically, and it's like, what even is this friendship? It's so dumb. Also, there's kind of a weird paragraph at the end of this, like, okay, so after all the, like, drama with the not sex tape, they're talking about it again, and Chris says, like, trust me, there'll be someone or something new to obsess over by next week. Like, people will be on to the next thing, and they'll forget about you. And then there's this paragraph that just says, it turns out that Chris is right, that people have moved on to the next thing. On Tuesday, a sophomore boy named Clark is caught masturbating in the boys' locker room, and it's all everyone can talk about. Lucky me. So, it's like this whole, so far, I feel like the main plot of this book has been, oh no, this tape, and it's drama and embarrassing. And then, just like that, in one paragraph, it's over and it doesn't matter anymore. So, that's cool. So anyway, that was chapter 11, and I guess we will stop for now and read some more later this evening. Can't wait. Alright, you guys, so that's gonna be it for this week's video. As usual, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments below what you're thinking, if you agree with me, if you hate me, and you think all my opinions are stupid and dumb, and this is your favorite book in the world. Let me know that. I'd love to discuss it with you. I'll see y'all next time, and have a great day. Bye!